Good evening, my name is Angelica Gibb, and I'm representing Chad as their president. Chad is no stranger to refugees. We host more than 1 million refugees, 17 refugee camps, and 58,000 of the refugees are with us due to conflicts in Sudan. Most refugees have this image of fleeing their countries and making a better life in a new country, and the sad truth is, most of the time that does not happen. Our previous president worked very hard to implement the asylum law. The asylum law means anyone who comes to our country will be in no fear of being deported or worrying about being ripped away from their families. Chad is a very poor country and we live in poverty. We receive millions of funding from other countries. The biggest country that helps us is the United States. They help us with funding for our refugees and for our refugee camps. They also help us with providing medical exams to our refugees. We are working very closely with the United States to implement a new project against human trafficking. Sadly, our refugees are the #1 people who get human trafficked. Even with Chad being a country who lives in poverty and not having much, we open our hearts and our home and our country to others who are looking to flee their country they are now. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Tana Kyle, and I will be speaking on Greece's position on the refugee crisis. Greece's position on the refugee crisis is varying. Once in 2020 or 2021, if you would have asked Greece about their position, they would have told you they were very much lacking everything they need, and the struggle was immense. But as of their position in 2023 to 2024, they're managing very well. Um, they they assume that most refugees are coming and only staying for a temporary amount of time. Uh, Now we do wish, even with us managing it well, we do ask that if there are more refugees that are sent our way from Turkey or Ukraine, that we are given the resources and protection for our citizens and the refugees as needed. Seeing as a lot of the refugees come from Ukraine or Turkey, we need as much help as we can get. Um, Greece would like to ask professionally that any more refugees that are sent to our borders or to our islands are taken in, because we usually do, but it's not a issue as of now for us. We are managing well, but the citizens have had complaints, and we wish to control the situation as needed. Please, if you have any resources that can help or any people that can provide protection on the issue, please offer that. Thank you.
So my country was Israel for the global refugee crisis. So Israel has been a home for refugees ever since its establishment in 1948. They were home to many Holocaust survivors from many different parts of the world. Some came from North Africa, Europe, and Middle Asia. However, approval rates for refugees are only at 1% for applications, and acceptance of non-Jewish individuals is circumstantial. Since it is a religious state, Jewish people who are either born to a Jewish mother or have converted to Judaism are far more likely to be accepted and have their application kind of move forward. And even with their tight restrictions, Israel has still accepted 45,000 refugees between 2005 and 2012, mainly from Eritrea at 73% and Sudan at 19%, and around 30,000 Sudanese refugees who are seeking safety from genocide. Refugees in Israel are given a conditional release permit, which protects them from deportation but does not give them access to medical services or welfare, as unfortunately many don't have access to basic rights just due to the constriction behind their policy for refugees, but also due to the lack of resources, because there's just simply too many refugees in the country and they aren't able to meet the needs of each and every one of them. Fortunately, they are legally allowed to work and employers cannot be penalized, making it easier to provide for their family. And Israel also doesn't have specific time constraints for for refugees, as it is contextual and dependent on their situation and legal status and why they're seeking refuge. And refugees entering Israel illegally who are fleeing persecution cannot be punished or repatriated.
Mongolia's position on the global refugee crisis is influenced by various factors. Due to its weak legal system and not signing the 1951 Convention on the Status of Refugees, Mongolia isn't a preferred destination for refugees and asylum seekers. In 2020, Mongolia had a low number of refugees, with only 10 individuals estimated to be in the country, excluding those traveling through Mongolia seeking asylum in other countries. Regarding employment, the law doesn't provide specific legal status for asylum seekers or UNHCR recognized refugees. While they were protected from deportation in the past, they lacked work permits. The Mongolian government works with international organizations to ensure the safe return and reintegration of Mongolian migrants. Forced migrants in Mongolia, often internally displaced due to climate change or economic reasons, relocate to the capital city. People flee Mongolia due to job and educational opportunities abroad, livestock loss, and severe winter conditions. In response to the influx of Russian citizens fleeing mandatory military service and economic hardships due to Russia's involvement in Ukraine, Mongolia has seen thousands applying for temporary stay permits. The Mongolian government, recognizing the situation, decided to grant them temporary residency. Overall, Mongolia's position on the global refugee crisis is influenced by its legal framework, economic conditions, internal migration patterns, and responses to specific humanitarian challenges.